Welcome, everyone. We're diving into Chevron's new move to power data centers using natural gas, carbon capture, and a whole mix of innovative energy solutions. It's a bold
Yeah,
step in merging energy and technology.
right. So, what's striking here is Chevron's strategy to locate power plants near data centers with easy access to natural gas and lower carbon intensity.
Exactly. Yeah, they're positioning these facilities in strategic U.S. regions like the Southeast, Midwest, and West. The idea is to provide off grid, reliable power specifically for hyperscale companies that need rapid market entry.
hmm And with partnerships like the one with Engine Number One and GE Vernova, we're talking about gas fired power plants that could deliver up to 4 gigawatts of power, which is like um, enough to keep around 3 to 3.5 million homes running, right?
Absolutely. It's like setting the stage for a revolution in power supply. These power foundries use GE Vernova's 550 MW7HA gas turbines, with planned deliveries starting in 2026 and power generation kicking off by late 2027.
Right, exactly. That time frame is pretty impressive, especially given the critical role reliable, immediate power sources play in AI and cloud computing growth. It's almost like a race to secure energy for the AI boom.
True, and what's fascinating is the integration of lower carbon solutions over time. Chevron's plan isn't just about natural gas. They're also incorporating carbon capture and storage, which can potentially remove up to 90% of CO2 emissions from these turbines.
Yeah, that's a serious drop in emissions. So essentially, they're aiming for a setup that blends the immediate availability of gas with longer term sustainability, reducing carbon intensity with renewables like solar, wind, maybe even hydrogen.
Exactly. Right, and it's an elegant check and balance approach. They're targeting areas with an existing infrastructure advantage, like proximity to carbon capture and storage capacity, renewables, and even geothermal sources, to gradually reduce the carbon footprint over time.
hmm I mean, it certainly sounds forward thinking. But I do wonder, isn't there a bit of a contradiction here? I mean, using natural gas while talking about net zero emissions? How do they really balance that?
Good question. Yeah, I get you on that. It might seem contradictory at first glance, but they're leveraging natural gas as a bridge fuel while aggressively investing in carbon capture and other renewables. So the natural gas elements are essentially being transformed by technology to have a far lower carbon intensity.
Right, that makes sense. I see. So it's like using the best of both worlds, tapping into the reliability of natural gas while laying the groundwork for long term low carbon evolution.
Exactly. And it's not just about the technology either. There's a significant economic angle. Chevron is not only set to power the AI revolution, but this move also supports US energy security, creates thousands of jobs, and even contributes to
Yeah, the
reindustrialization.
job creation aspect is huge. So, beyond tech speak, we're looking at a strategic play that impacts the economy as a whole, right? With the excess electricity even being sold back to the grid for greater stability.
Absolutely. Exactly. It's a multifaceted approach, ensuring immediate power needs for rapidly growing data centers, easing grid reliance, and providing a buffer for consumer electricity price
Yeah,
risks.
that's pretty clever. Now, I'm curious about the role of carbon capture here. Capturing 90% of CO2 from gas turbines sounds almost too good to be true. How does that play out in the big picture of reducing emissions?
Good point. Well, the integration of CCUS isn't just a fancy add on, it's a cornerstone of the strategy. Imagine it like a high tech filter placed right on the power plant that significantly lowers the emissions output. Over time, as renewables get integrated further, the whole system becomes cleaner and more sustainable.
Right? That seems to tie everything together. Yet, I can't help but wonder if relying so much on carbon capture and natural gas might delay a complete transition to renewables. Some might argue that it's a half step rather than a leap into a fully renewable future.
Well, hear me out. I understand that critique, but I think it's more of a practical bridge than a permanent state. The urgency of powering AI driven infrastructures means we need robust solutions now, and integrating lower carbon tech gradually is a pragmatic compromise.
Yeah, I see your point, though it's a bit of a balancing act. Absolutely. It's a dynamic process. And speaking of dynamics, Chevron's sustainability report shows they're investing some serious dollars, about $8 billion in lower carbon projects between 2021 and 2028, plus an extra commitment to cut 4 million metric tons of
Right on.
emissions annually.
That's a massive investment, underscoring their commitment to integrating renewables, carbon capture, and even hydrogen projects. It's a comprehensive roadmap, not just for powering data centers, but for strengthening overall energy independence.
Yeah, it's kind of a power shift, isn't it? It definitely is. And it helps illustrate why stable power supply is so crucial in this era of explosive AI and cloud computing growth. Traditional grid systems just can't keep up anymore.
Exactly. Right, and that's why these off-the-grid, behind-the-meter plants are a game changer. By locating them near data centers and using advanced turbine technology, Chevron is not only ensuring reliability, but also turning potential grid strain into an opportunity, selling excess energy back to the grid when needed.
Yeah, that has to boost grid stability. Speaking of advanced tech, let's talk about those GE Vernova 550 Mendobialao 7HA gas turbines. Those are some powerful pieces of machinery.
Indeed, they are. Right, these turbines pack a punch. They essentially form the backbone of the project. And with a capacity that could eventually support millions of households, it's clear that Chevron is aiming for scale.
Absolutely, scaling up is key here. And with the timeline set for power generation by late 2027, it's an aggressive yet necessary plan given the rising energy demands of data centers and AI research.
Exactly, the urgency is very real. It really is. And it's funny because, in a way, the strategy feels like turning a potential challenge, a fluctuating gas market, into a definite strength. For instance, the Permian Basin, despite its unpredictable gas prices, remains a powerhouse. Chevron's strategy is to redirect excess gas from there to these power foundries.
That's clever, almost like turning a market hiccup into an advantage. Yeah, it's like saying, okay, the prices are wild, but let's channel that excess into something productive rather than wasting
Exactly
it.
right. And then there's the broader impact of this plan. It's not just about generating power for data centers, but about strengthening U.S. energy security, spurring job creation, and even contributing to reindustrialization. The vision
Exactly,
is
it's a
truly
win-win on many
comprehensive.
fronts. I appreciate how this initiative ties together energy, technology, and sustainability. But I do wonder, what do you think about the long-term reliance on natural gas given the predictions in the net zero emissions scenario? Aren't there forecasts that gas demand might peak soon and then drop significantly?
That's a valid point. It's true that projections suggest gas demand could drop by 30% by 2030 and even 70% by 2050 from 2021 levels. But here's where the nuance lies. While overall gas demand might recede, a considerable portion, around 40%, is expected to be dedicated to hydrogen production with CCUS. So it's really about transforming the gas itself into a bridge to cleaner energy sources.
Yeah, that adds an interesting twist. Right, so even as overall use declines, the infrastructure built today can pivot towards hydrogen and other renewables. That's a pretty resilient strategy, even if it means a short-term reliance on gas.
Absolutely. And the ripple effects are impressive. The establishment of such power plants is expected to also drive local economic growth. Think thousands of jobs and a boost in the reindustrialization efforts across key regions.
Definitely, that's a concrete impact on communities. It really is a fascinating convergence of sectors: energy, AI, sustainability, and economic growth. Each element reinforces the others.
Right? It's all interconnected. Yeah, it's like the energy supply is the circulatory system powering the AI revolution. Without a robust, reliable source, all these innovations could stall. Chevron is trying to ensure that the fuel for AI isn't just abundant, but also cleaner and more stable.
Yeah, that's a solid analogy. I like that. Fueling innovation by literally fueling energy infrastructure. And while there are criticisms about it being a transitional phase, the dual approach of leveraging natural gas now while paving the way for renewables later seems pretty pragmatic.
Absolutely, it's a balanced maneuver, right? And as technology matures, we can expect incremental increases in capacity, and further integration of renewables, which is key to reducing the carbon intensity of these
Yeah,
operations
it's a dynamic
even
and
further.
evolving model. All in all, it's a fascinating moment where energy and AI converge. It shows how big players like Chevron are not only adapting to the growing energy demands of the digital age, but are reshaping their entire business models around sustainability and
Absolutely
innovation.
right. Totally. And it emphasizes that the road to a sustainable future is paved with such innovations, each designed to make the transition smoother, even if it's a bit of a balancing act along the way.
Exactly. Well, it's indeed an exciting time for both the energy and AI sectors. Watching how these initiatives unfold will definitely be something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. Here's to a powerful and sustainable future.